Hey folks, let's cover today an old classic from Monolith Production, a studio which has developed some of my favorite FPSs like Blood and No One Lives Forever. Shogo Mobile Armor Division has been a one-of-a-kind game released in 1998. It was the first powered by the Liftech engine, and it's an FPS characterized both visually and in tones by Japanese animation, in particular by the mecha genre of which I'm a great lover. And because of this game has always inspired me, and when I finally played it about 15 years ago, I found it quite appreciable. Not a masterpiece, nor a bad product, and after replaying it again these days, my opinion has not changed. Anyway, what distinguished Shogo was the alternation of phases aboard colossal mechs and on foot. And when controlling the mechs, you don't find yourself immersed in some simulation like MechWarrior, but instead it remains a classic FPS in which the environments have different proportions, and the enemies are armored vehicles, foot soldiers, and other giant robots. We play as Commander Sanjuro Makabe, a young MCI pilot in service at the United Corporation Authority. At the center of the story, there's the battle to control Cronus, a planet from which an organic-like resource called Gato is extracted. Sanjuro, due to this war, has lost his brother Toshiro, his best friend Baku, and his former girlfriend Kura. He's driven by desire for revenge, and major plot point, he's actually dating Kura's sister Catherine, which makes things more complicated. Whatever. So, after the prologue, Sanjuro is tasked with a special mission, in which he must locate and eliminate Gabriel, the mysterious leader of the rebel faction called the Fallen, whose base is located in the city of Avernus. It's practically the final battle for put an end to this war. As I said, Shogo features battles on board of mechs and on foot, and in both cases it plays like a classic FPS. Still, each mode has different weapons, and we can even choose in some occasions what model of MCA to pilot. In this playthrough I always opted for the heaviest one, which is a bit slow, but there's the possibility to change to a vehicle mode at any moment and move faster. Also, mechs can perform a double jump via specific button, useful to reach higher places. An odd mechanic of this game is the critical hits. See, both enemies and the player can inflict critical damage, which is highlighted by this purple shade and replenishes a bit of health, which is very useful because there aren't much medikits scattered in the levels on foot. When piloting the robots instead, we can find a lot of armor and energy bonuses by destroying cars and other elements of the scenery, paying attention to nearby explosions which hurt a lot. I must say that the splash damage in this game is a bit exaggerated. Also, enemies get staggered very easily. They literally become punch bags, both robots and foot soldiers which can be stomped with our giant feet. Yes, that's fantastic. The shooting in this game isn't bad. Some weapons are fun to use and others are kinda forgettable. I found silly that weapons like this assault rifle, which is the best when battling on foot, or the pistols have magazines, and there's no clue of how much bullets are left and there's no way to reload manually. For this reason, sometimes during the shootings the magazines emptied, and the enemies had the time to recover from the staggering and returned fire, sometimes killing me. And that's annoying. Shogo is a difficult game. Just at normal difficulty, enemies behind corners have instant reflexes and can perform a critical that insta-kills Sanjuro. When enemies spot us, we can see a signal on their heads and hear a peculiar sound like Metal Gear Solid, which is nice, but then the AI is usually dumb and they cannot even see us in front of them. But many times I had to learn their position and kill them using explosives before getting spotted and killed in a flash. These limitations often ruin the overall experience, making some sections tedious, and I had the courage to play it at both hard and normal difficulties. If you want to enjoy a nice, old shooter, don't go above normal, or you will save scam every 5 seconds and become paranoid. The best example is this part, which I consider an insult to good game design. As soon as this level begins, you are attacked by at least 4 enemy mechs. At hard difficulty, you have very low chances of survival, and for fuck's sake, there's even madness difficulty. Seriously, who the fuck would play this stuff in such a way? Believe me, I don't want to shit on this game. I enjoyed it, but it's poorly polished. Speaking of level design, the sections of mechs are quite curious because we move in cities and giant structures proportioned to our size. There are some little puzzles like step on buttons that activate elevators or doors, or even destroy some stuff to deactivate some hazards. I found strange that one of the initial levels features giant air conducts enough big for mechs. There's even an obligatory jump downwards to a fan, which is difficult to do correctly and forces to reload and try again and again. I hated it.
This better work. This better work. This better work. This better work.
Of course it worked. Of course it worked,
The levels on foot are pretty basic. There are offices, laboratories, and some civilian buildings like the hotel and a nightclub, all are reached by a bit of verticality and occasional switch handing. And speaking of creativity, there's an optional section in which Sanjuro is tasked by a lady to find her cat hidden in a pump station. First we'll have to retrieve the squeaky toy from an enemy, which is a replica of Captain Claw, and then find the cat and save her by two bastards who want to eat her. Ugh, die you fuckers.
Here, kitty, kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Come here, you stupid cat.
Should I even ask?
Just ran into some stragglers that were trying to eat a cat.
Can you say
We can actually skip this section by, well, killing the requesting lady, but then we'll dirt our hands and leave the poor kid to a bad destiny. Come on, let's be heroes.
Give me a sec. I'll turn off the electricity.
Thanks a lot, lady. You want me to take the garbage out for you? You're crazy.
The overall story of Shogo is kinda interesting. Sanjuro's mission on Cronus is filled with twists, like the discovery that Kura isn't really dead but survived and acted as an undercover agent, and his brother Toshiro and Baku will play an important role later on. Near the end we'll be even asked to choose between fight and destroy the rebel faction led by Gabriel as planned, or betray the UCA and see a different ending. We can even choose to tell Kura that Sanjuro is actually dating her sister, and surprisingly she's very open-minded.
Actually, I've been dating your sister.
I'm not angry about Catherine. Well, I am angry, but I'm not going to kill you.
It's not a bad story, and there's a plot twist which reminded me a bit of a certain anime directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino, but I don't think it was a source of inspiration. And the writing is rather silly. The game tells a kind of serious story, but then it doesn't take itself much seriously. There are many jokes here and there.
Let's bust some heads.
Watch my ass.
My pleasure.
You say the sweetest things. Let's go.
Just ran into some stragglers that were trying to eat a cat.
Can you say that again slowly?
Pervert.
I'm having trouble picturing it. Maybe you could demonstrate.
And speaking of villains, there's a recurring crazy woman called Samantha, which wants to kill Sanjuro on board of her mechs multiple times, but always fails miserably. it's quite comical.
We meet again.
I think you need to get over this obsession. It's not healthy.
Unfortunately, Shogo suffered a rush development, which led to a lot of cut content and lack of polish, and it's a real pity. Graphically, it wasn't bad at all, the visual effects are very cool, and the overall style inspired by Japanese animation made it very distinguishable. Also, the music is quite good and catchy. Well, at least when it plays, because for a bug sometimes it wouldn't even start. See, in order to replay this game decently, I had to apply some fixes, and somehow it ran without much problems. Still, I endured many crashes, especially after the loading screens, and suffered some bugs like this. Ah yes, I also forgot to adjust the field of view, but it didn't bother me much. To conclude, it makes me sad that Shogo wasn't fully developed as planned, and its scheduled expansions never got released, as well as a proper sequel that would have expanded and enhanced everything. It remains a kind of unique FPS with a certain charm, an experiment to which I don't know other similar products. If you're interested in old games with a own personality, give it a try. It lasts between 3 or 5 hours and can still be fun. That said, a warm thanks to all viewers, and see you in the next entry.
Well, hello. Looks like I got the advantage this time.